We're Jen and David from Love Intersections.
And welcome to Hot Pot Talk Season 4. Today's episode is with Chris Borland from Elbow Patties. Can you tell us what you're making?
Yeah, so today I will be showing you guys one of my favorite dishes that I enjoy making at home, but also something that I've really enjoyed growing up, which is brown stewed chicken.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's spicy, it's sweet, it's savory, it's all the things, it's hearty. So for the marinade, a couple of ingredients you'll just need is salt, pepper, pimento or allspice, if you will, some scallions, and we're just going to use the white part to start, some thyme, and ginger. And depending on how hot you want it, a couple of Scotch bonnets.
I saw those there. I was like, ooh.
We'll use one.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of play with it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the marinade. And all you gotta do is just cut stems off onto that part. So we're just going to take a little nibbit of ginger. I won't be using all of this. And we're just going to kind of peel it down a bit.
Maybe, Chris, can you tell us a little bit about why you chose this dish?
Yeah, so this dish is something that's kind of dear to my heart. Growing up in Ontario, having immigrant parents, my mother, both from Jamaica, my mom and my dad, I never really connected with Caribbean food. You know, I'm first generation Canadian, so it was always burgers and fries for me. But the one dish my mom would always make was brown stewed chicken, and it's the one thing I would just crave. And so it was just like, okay, she was happy that I was happy, and I was just like, I don't know what it is about the dish that I love so much, but when I cook it and when I eat it, it does remind me of home.
Yeah.
It's like a comfort food.
Absolutely.
For you?
Yeah.
I'm curious,
Absolutely.
did you ask your mom, like, hey, can you teach me this recipe, like, step by step? Like, how did you come to learn it? Or did you kind of already knew?
So I never actually I did ask her when I moved here, but I kind of understood like the basics of it just from watching her cook in the kitchen. And, you know, stealing little pieces here and there when I shouldn't be. As it's like stewing on the stove, I'm just sneaking myself in there. And that's kind of where I fell in love with cooking, where it was just like seeing the amount of effort and love that you put in it and the time to then you get this beautiful dish that, I mean, yes, I'll sneak in there tasting it, but every taste was different because as it's cooking slower and slower, it's developing those flavors. And not only did I appreciate the dish, but it made me appreciate my mother even more. Because she worked a full-time job. She was a manager for, it's an old company. I don't know if you guys remember Byway? No?
Kind of sounds
Okay, it's an Ontario brand. It was like a Zellers back in the day. I'm really aging myself here, but yeah, so that's what my mom used to do. She'll set office there. And she would always come home and like be ready and just cook dinner. But Sundays it was clean. Well, we all clean with her and cook dinner. And we would have our brown stewed chicken. Growing up in Ontario, being first generation Canadian, you kind of want things fast. You want that instant gratification, right?
Yeah.
Whereas that's why we are obsessed with fast food and I give you money and I get it right now. You get that convenience. But when I went to culinary school, the one thing that they did teach us is patience, right? So it's like really take your time with the ingredients, really understand the essence of the ingredients, study the ingredient, know the properties of it and how it reacts to certain cooking temperatures and all that stuff. Because all that really does make a difference in your final result, right? So at this point now, when we have our marinade, we can kind of gauge if you want this to be a spicy dish or not. So we won't keep it too spicy. I'll only do like a quarter of our Scotch bonnet, which it used to be one of the hottest peppers in the world. It is no longer. It is now the ghost pepper. It's been demoted, but it's still very spicy. I use chicken thighs, just for the main reason that they don't dry out. You generally would want the bone in.
How come?
Just for a cultural thing of, you know, sucking the bone after, really.
The collagen.
The marrow.
But the bone in also helps a lot. As it's breaking down, it will thicken your stew a bit. So I'm just going to set that aside. So that you would want to marinate for roughly 4 hours, or for the best flavor, overnight.
Right.
So with the power of a TV, I already have some marinated. So this has been marinating overnight.
Yeah.
So we're going to cook that up really nice. But what we will do before that is start our veg. So I'm just going to prep my veg so that once we have the chicken cooking and we set it aside, the veg is good to go. For myself, it has been a up and down battle in connecting back to my roots. Again, being first gen Canadian, I never really had any, I guess, desire to know anything about my ancestors or my relatives back home. A lot of them already lived in Ontario, and maybe it was just the privilege that I had in the moments growing up where, because I had such access to everything, I was content with that.
Right.
And it wasn't until in my teen years when I kind of started going out with my friends, and we would go to restaurants, and most of them were Caribbean restaurants, and I'm seeing these prices, and I was like, I'm absolutely not paying this for something that I can make at home. I was like, wait, but I don't know how to make this at home.
Right.
And then I kind of spiraled. I was like, why don't I know how to make this at home?
Right.
So I started doing a bit more research on, just like cooking Caribbean food, and I started falling in love with it there. But then I started having a little self-identity battle. Because around that time of me really exploring food is also when I was exploring my sexuality, and that's when I came out to my close friends. And then with that, more research on, well, not even research, just knowing through experience, the times that I would go back to Jamaica or my family would come here, they tend to be slightly homophobic.
Right.
So I kind of then put that on the back burner again, as far as trying to find where I belonged in both spaces of culinary, but culinary in a queer space and being Caribbean.
Right.
I was working Spanish cuisine for a very long time. And even there was no sense of belonging. And I mean, they definitely made sure of that.
Right, yeah.
The customers mostly were like, why are you cooking this food? This is not of what you should be doing. I was like, well, I'm a chef, I can cook anything I want.
Yeah.
But I sat with that for a long time. I was like, you know what, they're right. I should at least explore more of my culture's food.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And again, going back to my mom and the love that she put into her food, that was lacking for myself here. And I realized that because again, I kind of was going through the stages of depression, and I hated this city, and I didn't know what it was that was missing.
Yeah.
But it was because I wasn't my full self. And it wasn't until I came to realize, one, my sexuality and where I could place myself in this world, that I then found happiness in creating food that I love without having to displace my sexuality with my culture.
Right.
Okay. That's off the excess. And like I said, now that we have all of the fran on the bottom of our pot, we want to keep that there and then just add all our veg. Nice. And I'm stirring enough for it to kind of coat the veg. I'll take out my Scotch bonnet so no one can get that at the end and burn their lives away. So let's add a little bit more brown sugar. Because for me personally, I like my brown stew chicken to look really nice and dark.
Yeah.
So if you can if you want to like take a little peek, you can kind of see it now developing.
Oh yeah. That like sticky,
Well, that sticky molasses-y.
Yeah.
So with the addition of that brown sugar, it's now turning into that molasses browning that we're looking for. And a good way to see how it's developing is just taking your spatula and swiping it like so. And as it slows down, you know it's almost ready. And now we're going to get to the sauce of it.
Nice.
Which we're going to add some chicken stock, and the weird part,
Ketchup?
I know. That one isn't open. Honestly, I think this is why I love the dish so much. I love ketchup.
Yeah.
I should ketchup on everything. Yeah, so I brought one of my favorite drinks that are exported out of the Caribbean. This is a cola champagne. And then you just let that simmer.
Nice.
And that is the dish.
Nice.